Welcome to the GCSE Maths Advantage. I'm Dr. James Carter, and every episode I'm going to break down one topic, show you where the marks are, and give you a quick win you can use in your next exam. Whether you're targeting a grade 7 or pushing for a 9, let's get into it.
This one question lost more marks than any other on last year's AQA paper. A student used the sine rule, got two possible angles, and picked the wrong one. They lost method marks and the final accuracy mark. If you've ever stared at sin b equals and panicked, hear this now.
Sound familiar? I remember thinking, the calculator lies to me. Right, today's episode covers one decision tree for which rule to use, a worked example that shows the ambiguous SSA case, what to write to pick up marks, and a 5-second check you can use straight away. Stick with me for the quick win at the end.
Let's start with the basics, the sine rule and the cosine rule. Keep the language simple. We're solving triangles. The sine rule says, for any triangle, A over sine A equals B over sine B equals C over sine C. In words, side divided by the sine of its opposite angle is the same for every side.
Why does that work? Imagine dropping a height from a vertex to split the triangle. That height is a side times sin of the angle. Each side relates to the same height through its opposite sine. That's the geometric reason, not a magic formula. Let that sink in.
So the sine rule needs an angle and its opposite side, right?
Exactly. If you know angle A and side A, and you know side B, you can find angle B using sin B equals B times sin A over A. Simple algebra, then arcsine on the calculator gives the angle. But here's the catch. Arcsine has two possible angles between 0 and 180 degrees, one acute, one obtuse. That's the SSA ambiguous case. The cosine rule is different, but often safer. It says A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cos A. Use it when you have two sides and the included angle, or when you have all three sides and need an angle. Cosine rule doesn't create that two-angle ambiguity because it uses cos, which maps uniquely for angles 0, 180 degrees in this context.
So sine rule when we have an opposite side and angle, cosine when we have the included angle or all sides.
Exactly. Quick decision tree. Do you have an angle and its opposite side? If yes, sine rule, but watch SSA. If you have two sides and the included angle, or three sides, cosine rule. That's your decision tree. Now let's do a worked example so this isn't just theory. Example. Triangle with side A equals 8, opposite angle A equals 30 degrees, and side B equals 10, opposite angle B, which we need to find. The instruction reads, find angle B. Set up the sine rule. Sine B equals B times sine A divided by A equals 10 times sine 30 degrees divided by 8.
Calculator entry, sin 30 degrees is 0.5. So numerator 10 times 0.5 equals 5. Divide by 8 gives 0.625. So sin B equals 0.625. Now arcsin 0.625 equals 38.68 degrees, approximately 38.7 degrees. That's one possible angle.
But don't stop there. The sine function also gives a second possibility. 180 degrees minus 38.68 degrees equals 141.32 degrees. Both angles are between 0 degrees and 180 degrees, so both are mathematically possible. This is the SSA ambiguity that cost marks on that past paper.
How do we decide which one to use then?
Good question. You must check the sum of angles. If A is 30 degrees and B were 141.32 degrees, then C would be 180 minus 30 minus 141.32 equals 8.68 degrees, which is positive, so both are valid triangles. The exam wants you to show both possibilities and state which one matches any extra information in the question. For example, a doubt that the triangle is acute or that angle B is the smaller angle. If no extra info, give both answers with working.
Now, a quick cosine rule case. Same triangle, but suppose instead you were given all three sides as 8, 10 and 13 and asked for angle A. Use cos A equals b squared plus c squared minus a squared all over 2bc. Plug in numbers, evaluate, then use arc cos on the calculator. Cosine doesn't give two possibilities in 0, 180 degrees, so it's the safe choice if you have the included angle or three sides.
Calculator tip. Always write the calculation you typed. For example, write sin B equals 0.625, B equals sin to the minus 1 of 0.625 equals 38.7 degrees on your script. The examiner wants to see your method. That line often secures an M mark even if the final rounding slips.
Let's talk marks. For a typical angle question on Higher GCSE, you'll often see M1 for setting up the correct rule, write the sine or cosine equation, M1 for correct manipulation or substitution, and A1 for the final correct angle to the demanded accuracy. If ambiguity arises, note both angles. You can pick up the method marks even if you don't finish both numeric checks.
So if I show both possible angles and clearly say which one fits, I can still get the M marks even if I don't show every calculation?
Yes, write it down, don't just think it. If you show the sine rule, the substitution and your calculator result, that's usually 2 method marks. The examiner then awards accuracy if the final number is correct within the tolerance. Same method, different numbers. The marks are there for the taking.
Common presentation mistakes that lose marks: skipping the equation, only writing the final number, or failing to show you considered the obtuse possibility in SSA. Also avoid writing B equals 38.7 or 141.3 without explanation. Label them acute solution and obtuse solution and show the angle sum check. Examiners love clarity. Now your quick win. A 2-step habit you can use on the next question. Step 1, decision tree. Do I have angle plus opposite side? If yes, use sine rule and flag SSA. If no, check whether cosine rule applies. Step 2, 5-second check. After you find an angle, do a quick angle sum. A plus B plus C equals 180 degrees. If your sum is outside a degree or two, you've got an error.
That angle sum check sounds so simple, but it would have caught so many mistakes during mock exams.
Exactly. Don't skip the check. Also habit, when using sine rule, always compute the right-hand side numerically and write it down before pressing arc sine. That prevents sign slips and helps the examiner follow your method. That's your 5-second habit. It saves marks. Quick recap. Choose the rule with the decision tree, watch SSA when using the sine rule, show the 2 possible angles if needed, and always write the substitution and angle sum check. The examiner wants to see your method. Write it down. Don't just think it.
That's your quick win for today. If this helped, share it with a friend who's revising. You'll find more worked solutions and a printable cheat sheet at jcacademyonline.co.uk. Until next time, trust the process and nail that exam. Stay curious.